My son went missing age 9. I just found a photo of him on the dark web. It's been 3 weeks since my world fell apart. I had entered my son's room one morning to wake him up for school only to see an empty bed waiting for me. My wife and I searched everywhere. The police searched everywhere. But there was absolutely no evidence, no lead, and no trace of my little boy anywhere. It was as if he vanished into thin air. This was only one of the many cases in our town of strange disappearances, and they were always children. I never got along well with my son, but I still loved him more than anything. My wife blamed me for his disappearance, claiming I made him run away, but I would never do such a thing. After a couple weeks, I finally built up the courage to enter his room. Nothing could have ever been more painful than looking at the dust building up on his untouched toys, but I knew that this would be the first step to facing my grief. Maybe I deserved this sadness for all the times I would hit him when he disobeyed me, but he didn't deserve this. I sat on his bed for an hour, breaking down into tears as I looked around his room, hoping to see some sort of sign for where he went, regretting everything I ever did to him. However, despite the police scanning through his entire phone and finding nothing, it had just occurred to me that there was one thing they had forgotten to check: his laptop. I was certain there would be nothing on it. He only ever used it to play Minecraft and Roblox with his friends, but I was desperate for anything that could give me a chance of finding him. I jumped off the bed and went straight to his desk, ripping open the laptop, frantically pressing the spacebar as I waited for it to finish charging. The glow of the screen eventually illuminated my surroundings as my eyes adjusted to what was being presented before me. After scouring through the laptop for 10 minutes, I found nothing. I'd almost completely given up, my heart slowly dropping as I realized there was nothing I could find to save him. That was until I noticed his hard drive behind his pencil case on the desk. As a last hope, I plugged it in, not expecting to find anything else other than maybe some Roblox games or photos. That was until I noticed the antivirus on the laptop spamming notifications saying it was infected. Starting the second I plugged in the hard drive, I knew something was wrong. After looking into the alerts, I noticed they were coming from one folder specifically named My New Friends. My heart sank. Did he make some new friends online that I knew nothing about? Were they the reason he's gone? I opened the folder and was met with a bunch of shortcuts for an application named Tor Browser, which I didn't at the time. I didn't realize was a direct path to the dark web. I felt a glimmer of hope that I might actually be able to find where he went. My prayers had been answered, and a tab had been left open, though it wasn't one I recognized. There were several weirdly titled links, many of which were live streams. I noticed one had been left highlighted and labeled "Click to see him." I don't know what I was thinking at that moment, but I did just that. I clicked on the link. The screen loaded for a few seconds before a photo blipped up. It was my son. Standing on either side of him were two other people, though their heads weren't in frame. The uneasy expression of my son being held in place by these two beings made me feel faint. I struggled to breathe properly as I began going into a panic attack. Before I could absolutely lose it, I leaned in to get a better look at the photo, only to be blinded by a large pop-up covering the image that looked like some sort of questionnaire. Someone was playing a sick game on me, but I had no choice but to proceed and play along. They had my son, and this was my only chance of getting him back. The first question on the screen was shockingly personal. "Are you looking for a missing son?" My trembling finger hovered over the mouse pad before finally pressing yes. The webpage transformed, presenting a grid of photos of children, all with the same lost look as my son with the same background. Why the hell were there so many? I scrolled through, knowing there must have been so many other parents feeling this same pain. That was until I saw him. It was a recent photo, his hair a little longer than I remembered. As I selected it, a pit formed in my stomach. My son's information filled the screen, his stats, his favorite foods, even the clothes he was last seen wearing. And there, chillingly, was a photo of the bedroom I was sitting in, taken from an angle that suggested a hidden observer. A cold sweat formed on my brow as the next instruction appeared: "Check under the bed." In a state of panic, I approached the bed, not wanting to disobey whoever was watching me, in case they could make me disappear too. I knelt down, my hand reaching into the void, part of me thinking someone was about to grab me. My heart sank when I felt it brush against a shoebox. I didn't remember this ever being there before. It was put there recently. I slowly dragged it out, realizing it was heavier than I originally had thought, and carefully brought it over to my desk. A new message appeared on the screen. Carefully opened the box. I was praying that there wouldn't be some sort of chopped-off limb inside for my son. However, upon opening it, the truth was so much worse. A gun, wrapped in a shiny purple cloth, loaded with a single bullet. It was real, the metal cool and ominous in my shaking hands. Looking up, my son was now on a live stream, bound to a chair, a placard hanging from his neck with a scrawled message: "Are we really the bad guys?" A man walked on the screen, pulling down a projector screen in front of my son. I started shaking, thinking they were going to murder him behind the curtain. But instead, a video started playing on the projector. Different clips started appearing on the screen. Videos of me with my son and my wife inside my own house. Tears blurred my vision as I saw myself throwing glass vases towards my wife in fits of pure rage that I forced myself to forget. More and more images showed up of cuts, bruises, and gashes on my wife and son. A montage of moments I'd forced myself to forget, of raised voices and clenched fists, moments where I'd become a stranger to myself, a tyrant in my own home. Revulsion twisted in my gut as the bitter truth was laid bare. His abduction was salvation from me. A choice appeared on the screen, a simple yet devastating option. Prove you really love him, yourself or him. The camera on the live stream panned out to reveal a figure pointing a gun at my son's head. The insinuation was clear. I had to choose who would die. Tears blurred my vision. The gun felt impossibly heavy in my hand as the cursor blinked, awaiting my decision.